We have Halo at home, Ben.
No, this is exactly how I remember it. And welcome back to another LinuxGameCast Weekly, the show that covers the latest, the greatest, the most importantest, the bestest, the most flyest, unibrowest, Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with.
I'm the Unicro.
Unicro? I'd watch the Unicro.
The Unicro, yeah.
See, we both know damn well Crow has had a unibrow.
Yes.
Yes.
For the longest time, yeah.
Yeah, we went over that. Big show for you tonight. Stick around. Interesting things to talk about. There may still be residual explosions because yesterday was the 4th of July here in the States. So everybody had their carbonated milk and their hot dog jerky. And you ever have those like, I had an idea. You have these ideas and you're like, oh man, this would be great. I'd make a YouTube video out of this and it'd be really funny. This is modern day. I had an idea. Has anybody put hot dogs in a, what do you call them? Not a dehumidifier, the
dehydrator?
Dehydrator.
Isn't that just what like Slim Jims are?
Apparently not. Apparently they're far grosser. But
Okay.
they look like way diseased, and I'm like, that'd be great, man. We could make a hot dog jerky. And like, I went to YouTube, and YouTube's like, yep, people have already tried it, and it's horrible. It's nasty. But what's up? What's new? I have been, speaking of YouTube, dude, I have been trying. I'm going to cast this out into the ether because I don't think anybody's going to be able to help me with this. On a search for a mythical piece of technology that I know exists because it was covered by multiple tech outlets in like 2006 from 2 different companies. What I'm looking for is a firewire thumb drive. OCZ made one, and another company made one.
What are the capacities on those?
They were like 1 gig.
Okay, that's not awful for about that time.
06, yeah. Like the thing was about these, they were firewire, so they like beat the snot out of USB 2 at the time.
Mm.
And I've been scouring the web. So if you get a lead on that, like if you know somebody like in a local pawn shop, you're like, oh, they can't get rid of it.
There's like some dude who's just like lying in a kiddie pool filled with like USB or firewire thumb drive. He gets up, is like, it's my time.
I even found like a Reddit post where one guy showed off a picture and like it was followed by like, where did you find that? And he was like, it was on Versailles, just randomly, and he got it. So yeah, I want to get one, but it's led me down a road, Jordan. You remember the zip disk, right?
Yep. I never owned them, but I knew people who had them. 100 megabytes. 100
megs. And they came out, and there was the one that came out of the Zip, the 250 model, which I was like, that was cool. And that was by that time they were USB. The original zip disk were available in SCSI and parallel port. Those were your 2 flavors, because I remember like you could enable like EPS fast mode on your printer port for slightly better performance. Why? Because you were broke as hell. You were like me, and you couldn't like find SCSI cards. That was crazy talk. You couldn't afford that. So when the 250s came out, they were still doing SCSIs, but USB was a thing, and I was like, well, that's neat. But during all this search, I've been putting up searches on eBay because I really want to find this thumb drive. I found out they made an adapter for FireWire for the zip drive, which plugs into the SCSI port, and I'm really interested. This I found. Well, there's only like 2.
Do you still have any of your old zip disks around? Do they still like hold media? Are they like still good at this point?
Well, here's the thing. I didn't to tell you. This is how early I learned in life that like fate had it out for me a little bit. They came out and they were around for a little bit. So the zip disk were 100 megs. They'd been out for maybe a year. And I'm like, you know what? I finally need to go buy one. I went to the store, and I think the name of the company, they had that, which was 100 megs, and like right next to it, I think it was called like SciQuest. They had a 1 gig disc, and it was only like $60 more, or equivalent. And I was like, gotta get this one. And of course, I bought that one, and like a month later, that company went out of business. And like 30 minutes after that, it was called the Click of Death. It developed, and consumer protection wasn't what it is today, which is not a great thing today. But back then, the iOmega, the zip company bought all of their stuff and decided not to honor any of their warranties. So I was just stuck with a brand new piece of equipment, couldn't do anything with. So yeah, long answer to your question. No, I never had a zip disk. I had the SideQuest 1 gig, which was interesting on the topic of, do you still have data on it? Yeah, they had actual metal platters in them.
Okay.
On there, like they spooled up. So yeah, I found this listing on eBay. The dude wanted like $70 for it. He sent me an offer for like 50. But I'm scared to go down this rabbit hole.
And it's one of these things where it's like, he knows they're obscure, and he knows that if you want one,
yeah, he knows there's another one on eBay.
Yeah,
like I just want the adapter. The adapter is like the crazy obscure thing, man. So then I got to do a video on it. Then I don't want to become a retro.
Yeah, that side of YouTube is pretty crowded at the
Isn't
moment,
it?
so.
Yeah, yeah, man. So what you been up to, man? That's what I've been playing around with. I've been like, do I want to spend $50 on a piece of retro tech that I'm not going to use? Nah.
My week was just a fucking blur, because you know what happens. You're like, I'm gonna try and shut shit down a week before I go on vacation. I'm gonna take it easy. I'm just gonna like poke at some stuff. And then turns out I was on call this week, and a bunch of the shit went down. So yeah, my brain is completely fucked. But I'm very much looking forward to my fucking vacation starting tomorrow.
Nice.
I'm gonna crawl under a rock and stay there for a week.
This is my emotional support rock.
Yeah. I don't have to deal with the light of the sun. I'm just under the rock, like a worm, some kind of insect.
And hopefully nothing will explode.
Well, yeah, it's not my problem until I come back the week after. Yeah.
Well, do you get a horse in you this week?
Do I have a horse? Yeah, I went to LV 422. I stuck my head in an egg, and out of my chest comes the steam. Well,
hey, we got mutes. There we go. Yeah, echo. Dude, like the one time I don't pay attention to it, it sticks.
Great. Yeah, that's always how it works.
Paranoid.
Well, as if a million Linux native games cried out at once and were suddenly silenced, the latest Steam update has a bit of a change in it. Steam Play is now turned on.
Mode, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, no, honestly, the UI scaling in big picture mode is nice because, like, if you're on a 4K screen, yeah, the UI is not like the most friendly for like high DPI displays. So maybe you want to scale that up a little bit. No. Steam Play is now turned on for everything by default. There was that tick box in the Steam Play compatibility thing that says you can enable it for everything. Now that option exists merely to disable this if you want to be an absolute native Linux game purist. There's also a couple other things in here. Especially for non-Steam Deck handheld devices. If there is controller support, it will now be listed in the store icon or in the store page as well. On Linux, Steam client updates should go a lot faster now. Apparently it was taking a couple minutes. They have resolved that bug and it should be relatively snappy. And yeah, the aforementioned big picture UI scaling option. Yeah, I don't know. What do we think about this? Because like, Let's be real. It's sad, but Linux native gaming is kind of dead, and has been for a while.
For anything off Steam,
yeah, which is the de facto, people playing games.
Suck it, Itch.
Yep, like as much as I would love, like Itch to be a legitimate competitor. Like it has its spot for like lower exposure indie games, but it's not a Steam competitor by any means, right?
How about Epic?
I'm amazed you got through that with a straight face.
Yeah, Ben, listen, I had to summon that. So yeah, what Jordan's saying, this is a big moment. Why? Because this is Valve sending that blowtorch of a message to game developers that Proton's good enough. Don't worry about it. We got you. Just make your game. It'll run on the Steam Deck. And then vicariously, it'll run on desktop, hopefully.
Maybe it'll run on your Deckard headset as well. We got Fex, we got Steam on ARM coming soon.
Yeah,
supposedly. Yeah,
I have to see about that. Oh man, they did they keep doing work on Steam Input too, man, which every time I look at Steam Input, it's always just like a gang of stuff, controllers I don't know about. They did a bunch of work with the 8-bit duos, Ultimate 2 wireless. I was going to buy an 8-bit do the other day, man. I went to their website. 8-bit, you get too many damn controllers. That's really all I can say. You got too many controllers, dude.
Well, it's like they have all of the knockoffs of like all the various retro controllers and stuff, and different color options and like button layout options. Yeah. I could definitely see the fucking choice paralysis there. I ended up getting like a small like Super Nintendo one for my wife just because she's got tiny hands. But yeah, like I don't know. I haven't been in the market for a new controller lately. Like,
are we good? Have we reached the old man?
Yeah, my free DualShock 5 I got with coupon points.
I got the DualShock, I got an Xbox, I got a Steam controller for the memories, and
well, you're gonna have a Steam controller for something else, but that's a little something.
I don't know, man. Like I mean, where's there left to go with the controllers though?
I mean, like we saw the thing that like Sony was patented, where they have like you can like point it like a gun, or
that was cool. And what Nintendo did with Nintendo, I hate giving you compliments. What you did with those the
Labo, the cardboard things.
No, on the Switch too, turning them into mice.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I want to give Labo some credit as well, because it's like, yeah, I like the idea of like making video games have a bit of a more like physical element to them, not even just in terms of like wiggling stuff around as sort of like an analog, but more like, hey, like here is like an object that you can interact with that like mirrors your interaction in the game.
What we need is a Nintendo Power Comforter.
Yes. The Nintendo what was it, game blanket?
Game blanket. I'm telling you, man. Like yes, the Nintendo Power Pillow.
No, the virtual blanket. That's what it is. It'll give you weird neck pains because it's like weighted specifically on the neck.
All right, how much do you think a Virtual Boy goes for right now? Like inbox used. Yeah, that's exactly what they went for. 500. I remember seeing those things on like blowouts. Every time when I see shit like that, dude, I'm like, oh, if I could only go back in time and be like, buy them all.
That's the fucking Virtual Boy speculation, man. You never know what's going to become a collector's item.
All right, let's keep it running together. This is not what we've talked about. Like what, 13?
Yeah, there is a bunch of games like this out there, because it very much like the Lethal Company menial peon laborer simulator, working for an awful boss. This one you're in Santa's toy factory, it seems, and you gotta make toys, and you gotta like make the machines work. You gotta avoid getting eaten by the monstrous toys. It seems like a proper wholesome time.
Nope, it's not, because I got exactly this far that I died. I blew my damn self up.
Fair enough. And like, so this Keep It Running Together is actually a sequel, or sort of, kind of. I don't know what the relationship is, because they say this is like the multiplayer version. So if you go to the publisher page, Evil Turtle Productions, nom nom nom. Yeah, they do have Keep It Running, but it's a single player game, and it was meant for like VR. I think it was for like the Vive or the Quest or whatever. And it is the purely single player experience. And they're like, hey, yeah, we have a multiplayer version. The single player version is $5. Normally, it's on sale right now. Both of them are on sale. The multiplayer version is $7. So if you already paid $5 for the single player, it might leave a bit of a sour taste in your mouth. But like, also, looks like there's some okay stuff in there. There's some like Twitch integration. I don't know. It's a multiplayer fuck around simulator. What do you think? You actually booted it up.
Yeah, I downloaded it small. Go ahead and grab the demo. There'll be a link in the show notes. It's a Godot joint, which is always good to see. Good to see. Like there was a time where like, well, it'd be nice if games, and like now there's a higher than non-zero chance that you might see Godot instead of Unity, which is great. And this thing's super cheap, dude. It's $5.99 when it's not on sale. Fired it up, ran it around, started full screen. Godot's a little slow to start up on this machine for some reason. It's got windowed mode, which is good for streamer. They thought about that. No problems running, very performant. But if you're watching the video version, it's like the old dilapidated factory, just like a regular old dilapidated factory with haunted toys running around everywhere. you know,
just a regular factory job.
Yeah, basically. So I tried the single player mode and I got in and I'm like, here's a shovel. I'm like, okay, there's a bunch of like instructions to ignore right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Did a great job at that. Excellent. Aced that part of the exam. Went right over there, saw shovels, saw some boilers, and I did read, and like, you need to put 6 coal in here to get the factory started. I did. So apparently there was part B I didn't read that I assume was like release a pressure valve or something like that, because then I died. That was quite unfortunate, but it happened. So it's early access, and to what you're saying, man, like the original game came out a while ago, and they probably had to do a lot of work to, make it multiplayer.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, especially if you're going from like a single player VR experience. Who the fuck knows? But like to your point in the show notes, like when you're putting this together, like this kind of seems obviously like it would be a multiplayer game from Genesis, wouldn't it?
Mm. Well, that's what I really want to know. Is like, was this something you thought about afterwards? Was this something that might have been like an aspirational thing when they were designing the game? Do you get halfway through putting together the single player game and play testing, and you get enough like buffoons like us going, man, can you imagine if this had multiplayer?
Yeah,
it'd be a great game.
Yeah, definitely really reminds me a lot of like Kletka, that elevator game we were playing.
Yeah, if I had the like slightest idea what we were really supposed to be doing in that game.
Yeah, you gotta feed the elevator, I guess.
And apparently there's a lot of game to that, because like it's like I went to the Kletka thing on Twitch, and like people were playing the snot out of it, dude. Like they're like actually running it like they do Lethal Company.
Mm-hmm.
So best of luck. Now I want to tune in to just regular ordinary Halo deathmatch multiplayer. Nothing special going on here.
We have Halo at home, Ben.
No, this is exactly how I remember it. This is a pixel perfect reimplementation.
No, this is the original Mac version, you guys.
Yeah. So if you ever wanted to know what Halo, like OG Halo deathmatch would look like if it was done in the Gold Source engine, wonder no more.
That's a fucking Black Mesa cafeteria vibe.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's a crowbar, like the sword, right?
Yeah. We went from like Blood Gulch to like the fucking Black Mesa cafeteria. Yeah. That fucking got me.
You sound like somebody who actually played Halo deathmatch back in the day. I didn't.
Mm.
So yeah, I watched people play it on Xbox at a party one time, and I tried to play. This was my first experience. Tried to play an FPS with a controller, and I gave it like a minute and a half. I wasn't immediately good at it, and I gave the controller back. I'm like, no, I'm done.
Oh yeah, I had a similar experience, except I didn't have the good intelligence to like give the controller back. I kept trying and failing and trying.
It was the thing. It wasn't a viable thing because I got killed real quick, and in my head, even then, especially in those days, because like my early 20s, it was I had a keyboard and mouse. I would run all over you fools. I would.
The other difficulty multiplier was like the Duke was not a regular looking controller, and it didn't feel like a regular controller either when you held it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you weren't used to it, if you were used to like an N64 or a PlayStation controller, yeah, like the ergonomics really throw you off. And like there were definitely, you could tell the people who like had an Xbox and had practiced versus the people who were like, and then
I was barely. Yeah, I had no chance of like aiming or anything like that. The reason we bring this up, though, Halo Gold Source is out 1.0, and they're like, hey, man, we're kind of done with this, and we got an announcement for you Penguin people. We've added Linux support, so get out there and go play with it. And they're like, okay. They begrudgingly added controller support and said it exists, because like I guess they felt it would be wrong not to have controller support in
it needs to be accurate to the experience, right? The original experience.
And a lot of stuff they just weren't able to pull off in the Gold Source. This is like strictly just one-on-one deathmatch. They weren't able to exactly recapture the sliding and movement and jumps, the game physics, one for one with Halo. And of course, there's not going to be any vehicle running abouts. So yeah, it's out, man. With the SDK, go play with it. I feel like this is something
they said that it was like, this is at the point now where you can play it and you don't immediately go, that's kind of rough. So
yeah, I think you definitely need the nostalgia for this. Did you feel any of like, I remember that. Why are we in a cafeteria?
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. I don't know. Again, for the very much we have Halo at home, I would love to see them like actually start like maybe digging a little deeper into the gold source internals and like try to make it run a little more like Halo as sort of like a long-term project goal, or like I don't know, like
wasn't a big thing in the original Halo deathmatch like grenades?
Yeah, grenades. That was sticky grenades. That was the pain in the ass. Yeah,
grenades and the sword.
The sword was in 2. I don't think you actually got the sword in 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the sword was the thing from 2, I believe.
Right. Yeah, completely unfamiliar with it, but yeah, go get the mod, go play with it. They made one for Linux, and we can run it without Proton. There you go. See, there's your consolidation prize. Done. Speaking of something, well,
you know, out in the wily, windy moors of Linux gaming,
is this a +1 for humanity or a -1 for Linux?
Yes. Wuthering Waves. It's a weeb game. I believe it is some kind of gacha game. I could be very, very wrong about that. But it had some DRM, or actually some anti-cheat that was rolled out for it.
Don't you mean woo-wah?
Woo-wah?
Woo-wah. That's what the people in the know call it.
That's what my dog calls herself when she talks. Wah-wah. Yeah. But yeah, Wuthering Waves, they had a bit of an anti-cheat situation where their anti-cheat did support Linux at one point, and then it stopped. But now it's back up and running again. You do need to pass Steam Deck 1 as a Steam argument. But yeah, you can get into it. This guy tested it on Fedora 42 with, I believe they're using Proton GE, the latest Proton GE to do it, but apparently you can do it with just regular Proton or Proton Experimental. And yeah, okay, someone please explain to me, does this game have something to do with like Kate Bush or Emily Bronte? Is there a train in this one too? I'm so confused about all of these fucking like anime games.
No, dude, Connor McCloud comes out and he suplexes the train.
Yeah, I played I got the latest Magic the Gathering, so I know what happens.
Right. Yeah, good. I'm glad you enjoyed that VR experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am reading through the comments. People are like, yeah, this does work. This is the extent of Jordan and I's knowledge of this is courtesy of Civic.
Yes.
Yeah. Where he gave us a master class on it for about 30 minutes in the after shows. And
okay, so no, is this is Hoyoverse? This is a Hoyo game.
If one of us gets cut, no.
Yeah. How you doing?
Yeah,
we
we love it all. It's all great. So yeah, I like the little check they put in there. So apparently the developers at some point, like this is what we want. This is good, because like what happened here, this is not somebody there loves Linux. No. Somewhere on a spreadsheet, they're like, we can probably make some money if we make sure this works on a Steam Deck. This is gonna, potentially get more people addicted to buying ankle bracelets or whatever they buy in these games. I don't even understand how the economy works in these.
I think you purchase like waifus or like anime girls or something. I don't know.
Oh, all right. Okay. Sounds good.
Sure.
And, it's not a very in-depth check. Like, it's just the Steam option, Steam Deck 1 with followed by command, and just go for it, man.
Yeah. And honestly, like, low-key, that's kind of what we want, right? Like,
yeah.
Do some kind of check, but like we should have the just trust me mode. Yeah, like,
do you hear that, Infinity Nikki? Still can't play Infinity Nikki on my Geek Deck.
Does that have anything to do with Little Nikki?
I'd play the fuck out of some Little Nikki.
Infinity Little Nikki?
Oh, dude, asymmetrical. Like, you got to do the you get to be the demons with a chicken, and like there's
no. You get to be the pineapple. Mission. You get to be the pineapple. You got to like navigate your way,
Ozzy, dude. Oh man, who gets to be Rodney Dangerfield?
That you got to beat the game on like ultra difficulty to unlock Rodney Dangerfield. You can't just like give him Rodney Dangerfield right off the bat.
All right. So there you go. Woo woo. That's what the kids are calling it.
Woo woo
is available. I have no desire to play these games. I know Jill plays a lot of these styles of games.
She plays like Genshin, right?
Genshin.
That's her.
I mean, to me, and listen, you can look right at me and be like, all FPS games are the same in my head, and I wouldn't fight you. Or all racing games, I still wouldn't fight you, man. So, like, yeah, when I say that all these games blend together, don't pick me apart on that. All right.
All shooting game, all FPS games are exactly like all racing games.
There's plenty of racing FPS games.
Yeah, no, the fucking Sonic racing thing is built in Doom. It's like, or in the old Doom engine, and it's like, well, I guess it makes sense. Yeah, there's like mechanistically what you're doing in a racing game and what you're doing in a first person shooter, like, isn't that different, right?
No. And then you get things like Twisted Metal. You got like racing combat games as an entire genre.
Mario Kart, right? Like,
now, is there the inverse of that though? Is like racing combat? Is there FPS race? How would that even work?
Isn't that just like Trackmania with guns?
Well, I would consider that to be like racing combat. So like I'm thinking like what would happen like if it was not first person shooter but you had on like skates? Oh, we'd call it Quake Pathmaster.
Yeah. I was going to say that's the thing. Bam.
All right.
Well, can still play it on my 1080 Ti, but that's about it. Yeah. So NVIDIA, Aaron, our good friend of the show, guy I occasionally bother,
man, yeah.
Still around. I messaged him twice and I felt really bad about it, but he gave me straight up answers. So we love Aaron. Aaron's a mensch. He's the greatest. We love him. The one good person Reddit keeping NVIDIA afloat, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, there's a forum post from the NVIDIA developer forums, and yeah, it looks like the 580 series is going to be the last one to support Maxwell, Pascal, and Volta architectures. It's a real sad day, man. My 1080 Ti, that shit was a real trooper. That card lasted for 6 goddamn years. Even when it like barely ran DX12 games, it's like it's still good enough for everything else.
You were holding on to it, dude. Like, well, you do not. I mean, you still hold on to it. So
I gave it to the kid, and he was. We were talking about. We were working out today. We were talking about it. I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, the new driver coming out is the last one that your video card's gonna get. And he's like, it's really weird because it's such an old card, but my computer is still way faster than my friend's computer. So I'm like, that's because the 1080 Ti was a monstrosity built to compete with the card that AMD never released.
And there's also like the reality of it is we haven't. If you're doing 1080p gaming, you can get away with it. It
will crush anything at 1080p, man. Like,
yeah. Man, being the last to support it, man. Pour one out for Maxwell, Pascal, and the Voltas. Like the 580, so we got to think about it. What are we going to be? I went and looked it up. The 1080 Ti, actually the 1080 came out in May 6, 2016. It had a pretty good run. That's almost a decade.
Yeah.
Like driver support like that would make AMD blush. Because like AMD binary driver support, man, they kill their babies real quick.
They kill driver support for products that they are still selling.
This is also true.
That AMD driver support, man, that's when they killed the Polaris drivers, they're like, aren't you still selling APUs with Polaris GPUs in them? It's fine.
Okay. Interesting mix up though, man, because like we don't know if this is for the Unix graphics feature. The Unix driver archive. You get an NVIDIA card, you know about it. So we don't know if this is going to apply to Windows, but I like checked other news outlets and like we don't know either, but there's no indication that it's not. So
and like that's the thing. The way the NVIDIA driver is built, I believe like really the only difference between the Linux and the Windows version is like the shim that actually like touches the black box code. Everything else is more or less the same.
Right. Well, I mean, the Windows drivers are going to have a lot more like game ready.
Yeah. They have a bunch of like
patches. Yeah.
But for specifically for under Windows, but yeah, but even now we still see that for like some wine games, right? They started to remember when we first started covering the fact that they were fixing wine bugs. But yeah, if you're on Linux, you do have some options. Nova is technically capable of running these cards. You have no GSP firmware, so you are either running it at full tilt or baby's first GPU mode. But you get something, right? Like it will continue to function. Your electricity bill may be a little higher than you would expect, but yeah.
And why is this going to be a real problem? Let me tell you. If you're unfamiliar, I think most of you might know, you will eventually get a kernel version too new for the binary drivers to compile against.
Yeah.
Everybody with an NVIDIA card, you run into that. That's the most common question. You're like, well, I tried it with Arch and it didn't work. I'm like, kernel's too new. Blank stare. I'm like, okay, let me tell you what a kernel is. Okay, this is how you roll it back in Arch. I know how to do that. I've walked through that help enough times. So it will eventually, like you're running like an LTS and like a very long LTS kernel, you'll be able to stretch it out.
And they do have the long-lived like legacy driver support, so I think those are going to be moving into those. And I think those drivers have like a lot more relaxed like kernel compatibility stuff, just to ensure that like it can run on stuff.
And I think what kills me a little bit is like if you get the next series up, the 20 series, then you can use the GPL drivers, which they just it's YOLO button on that. You're like, whatever you want to throw against it, it'll let you.
Yeah, because it has the GSP firmware now, so yeah,
it'll let you rock and roll with it. Now, I went and did a little investigating. So yeah, the latest driver we got right now, the most current's 575, and just by going through previous releases, they usually don't increment more than twice during a cycle. So I'm guessing the next driver coming up to 580 will be the next revision. So if you are running RPMs, if you're running Debian Pack, if your distribution is handling this for you, the next update is going to make your card not work. And you need to be aware of that. So this is going to where it's rolling in of years and years and years and years. I'm not trying to sound right or anything like that. I'm saying you need to know how to install the drivers, or at least find a way to apt mark hold for the package.
These days too, like you can just run the NVIDIA driver installer in a desktop session now. You don't need to bust down to a different red level. So it's a lot better than it has been. So
that could very much be in your, and this is going to be a legitimate problem though, because on Linux we got options. You do got like Plan B. Plan B's a bit scruffed. It walks with a bit of a limp. It might occasionally speak in tongues, but it's there. Windows, not so much.
Yeah, you're kind of pinning that driver. Good thing the kid doesn't update his shit. So
right, but then again, Windows users just updating drivers. All right. And I was curious. I was like, well, how many like 1660s were out there? I didn't see any 1660s because I probably just made that card number up. But I went to the Steam hardware survey, and the most current survey, the GTX 1650, is a problem. Why? Because it's number 4 in the most used.
It's been up there for like a good long while too. As far as like budget cards go, that was like the shit.
Pack-in, pre-built, Dells, all that. Plus, if you wanted a card that could technically game, and it can still technically game, it's out there. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one to watch, because this is why we need open source drivers, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, alive and kicking. This is, the reason I was able to take a 570 and just plug it in and get to work in under ARM and all these old cards. Like, this is something AMD got right. But we have heard from
got right. Let's be real. AMD neglected their driver stack for so long that everyone else.
We, as I co-opt as the latch on with my lamprey arms and fingers, the Linux community, the open source community. Yeah,
more like we. Am I right?
The royal us.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of wild, man. Collabor did say that there could potentially integrate the 10 series, so hopefully that's coming.
Yeah, they're
later.
They're working on it, but again, like lack of firmware means that it's kind of a bit of a black box that they.
It's also not a priority.
Yeah.
So I mean, and you know what? Fair enough. It's like 5 generations, which doesn't seem like it, but 10, 20, 30, 40, 4 generations. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, given the price of GPUs lately, like it makes sense that these people are holding on to their old ones for dear fucking life, right?
Yeah. It really does. It's like, this is like, it is been a while since I brought up. Teenagers, dude, like building a PC right now, you are not going to have the latest, and not even latest, you're not even going to have a banger used PC for $1,000 these days.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're like, buying used parts left and right, you're not going to be able to, like, back in the day, you could build a screaming box if you were willing to get some used stuff and like do a little elbow grease. That just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And that's bad for that initial, like, if you look, because pre-builds are crazy expensive these days, man, for what you get.
Yeah, it is kind of nuts. And like, I don't know. Once upon a time, like with economies of scale, if you bought like an Alienware or something, like it could often come in cheaper than building the PC yourself, because like their cases are a lot cheaper because they buy them all in bulk, and their video cards are cheaper because they buy them all in bulk.
And especially if you factor in like the time and hassle and research and picking everything, and if it breaks, warranties are good. You get the whole thing. You just.
But these days, have you tried like? Yeah, dealing with warranty service these days is as a non-starter. Everything's a fucking AI bot now, so you just pull your hair out. You're better off just building the damn thing yourself. Yeah.
Well, that's what this next gentleman did.
Indeed.
Look at that lazy ass segue, but it worked.
It did. I'll give it to you. So the Steam controller. This thing. It's old hat. But there's the new hotness out. There's the Steam Deck. And we've talked about a potential Steam Brick. We've talked about Steam Deck alternatives. But what if you just like the Steam Deck controller and you just want to apply that to everything else? Well, I suppose you could plug your Steam Deck into your computer. It does apparently work as a controller. But this guy has built something else. It is Steam Controller 2. They 3D printed it. It's in 2 components. It has like an adjustable middle section. It is relatively customizable in terms of like what the ergonomic layout is, but yeah, it is just effectively the 2 ends of the Steam Deck that you can snap together. It has a wireless controller, and yeah, I don't know. I was watching this guy's video, and I gotta say, not using the touchpads for FPS really hurt me. As someone, we did the whole playthrough Quake 2 with the Steam controller.
We did,
and he's trying to like fucking use the analog sticks to aim. I'm like, no. D-pads are right there, man. Or
but that's something you got to learn to do, though.
Yeah,
you do got to learn to do that, and the pads don't have the same feel as the Steam controller would simply due from the lack of like being concave. You know what I'm saying?
I don't find it that big of a difference. I think my only gripe is like if you're doing a lot of like menuing with the cursor, I get a little bit of like thumb weirdness. Okay. But like that's for like trying to select like text out of a thing. So I don't know, for like gaming. They
definitely I love the middle part, the configurations, that middle adapter where you could just print your own if you want it to tilt up, tilt down, you want to make it wider, you want to make it tall, you want to make it not that. We play this.
Is this
with the drug dealer.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
I guess we never had a gun in that one.
No, so the weird probably for the fucking best we didn't.
The weird noodle arm is what threw me off.
Yeah, the absolute no F's given, right? Yeah, dude.
But yeah, go.
No, man. So this is going to be using it's the Nerf to 52840, which is just a microcontroller, handles the Bluetooth, which I like Bluetooth. Latency. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Latency seems good. He's like around 2 milliseconds, which is pretty good for homebrew. I don't think anybody would notice it at home. Driver support. How do you get around that? This thing emulates the original Steam controller. No problems. Done. It's just like, I'm a Steam controller, and Linux and Valve's like, okay, you're a Steam controller. Don't have to worry about it. It's got 2 modes, regular gamepad, or you can flip a switch and it's like gamepad plus mouse. Nice to see, because if you got a Steam controller or if you got a, dual Spock, touch the pad, you're like, what? I can move the mouse? Yeah, you can do that. So this also makes sense as a home theater PC, which I still maintain the Steam controller is probably the best HTPC game controller ever made in the history ever. There are plans to put a screen on it.
Make it a PS portal, Steam SSD portal.
Well, I mean, you could have things like your configuration modes, battery level indicator, jump Pokemon, like whatever.
Just shove a Game Boy in there. Why not? Yeah.
100%. But we would finally be able to get a Radica GameStar FPS Master Controller analog.
I am looking forward to the picture of this because I did not bother looking up what that thing actually looks like.
All right, hang on. Dude, it looks exactly like you think it's going to look. Hang on, let me find like a nice high resolution.
Does such a thing exist?
Yes. These, I'm not going to say they're sought after, but.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those guys. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
They still look okay, man. I'm not going to completely hate on it.
I think they use that in the Battlestar Galactica series to like pilot the Raptors or something.
Yeah, I'm sure, dude. So yes, Radica GameStar FPS Master Controller is real and it can't hurt you, dude.
It can hurt you. Look at that thing, man. I don't want to have that thing thrown at me.
How much do you think they are?
Oh, when is this from?
We haven't played eBay in a while. When did they come out?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to Google that one.
Okay.
Radica GameStar FPS Master Pistol Grip for the original Xbox.
$75 for the original X. Okay, it's an Xbox controller.
Yeah.
$70. I want to say.
This one's good for 47.
Okay, I was like definitely under 100. I don't think like it's that in demand of a collector's item.
I wouldn't mind one, but it's for the original Xbox, so that means it's not going to work.
No, it does. It's USB.
Oh, they do? The original Xbox? I thought it was like wired backwards or something like that.
No. Well, so yes, but if you chop the connector to the console off and just stick a USB header on that, it's just straight up USB cable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you can get them for cheap, dude. They're like $15-20.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess part of that is like how common were they and how sought after were they?
Right. I'm a fan of weird controllers, but only in small doses. We were talking before the show. I was like, I'm going to buy an 8-bit 2. I'm like, I don't have an 8-bit 2. That'd be fun to have. And I went there and I was just choice paralysis. I was like, I don't know. Maybe this was not what it ended up doing. I ended up not buying anything. So, damn shame. Links in the show notes. Go check it out. You can build your own. Is he selling them?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's still like a prototype. He's still
Did you
like
see that mouse I put in our super secret Discord?
No.
I put a link to it. It got Walt Pedro's attention, and being very generous to call this thing a mouse, it was like the scaffolding to a mouse. It was like the ultimate lightweight, and the guy like designed it himself, and like he printed it and sold it. And I think it wanted like $200 for it. Okay. Completely open. If you spilt a drink on it, it would immediately short it out. I'm not even joking. Like, there's no covering on it. It's like stripped down to nothing. Just barely enough hardware to like click and roll on.
Fair enough.
And it was like $200. $200, and it was sold out. Like, what are these kids doing, man?
This isn't sold out because we only ever made 3 of them.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, you might need to update your mouse game, people. For this next story, we're talking about gaming on the Orion, and more importantly, on ARM. 2025 rolls around, and I'm thinking to myself, no one's going to be impressed if I show them Doom running on a Raspberry Pi, running on an ARM board. That's old hat. When was the first time you saw Doom running on a Raspberry Pi? Like what?
Early in the Raspberry Pi's life, because I was one of the early people working on it. Yeah. When you open this video, I thought it was going to be the section from like the new Doom where it like transitions from like new Doom to old Doom, and then you walk out of the room and you're back in new Doom.
Nope.
No.
It starts out with old Doom.
Yep.
You go pew, 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 pew. Then it transitions to Doom 2016 running at 1080p on medium at 60 FPS. Crushing it on the 06. Why? Because I did an entire write-up about gaming with Fex. We've talked about Fex on the show a couple of times. And still something I've been working on, man, because I've seen some cool game demos running on those juggernauts from like Ampere and System 76. I wanted to show off what ARM can do and something just a little more accessible. That's why I chose the 06, because it's not $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. It's a couple $100. And, you know, I didn't want to show off just the, hey, it can technically run like I did with the Orange Pi. No. I'm talking about like Portal 2 running at over 100 FPS, Doom 2016 running at 1080p 60, God of War running at 30 to 40, Control doing a pretty good job. You know, I didn't even bother with the 2D games, people, because I'm like, this thing's just going to crush-nate all of them. Witcher 3, 47 FPS. Yeah.
What about the bike game that has a memory leak, that 2D one?
Too dangerous, too hot, too spicy. I had to play Half-Life. And of course, yeah, it just crushes. It crushes with some air quotes around it, because I rescued a old mining card. I yanked it off eBay. Thanks to all my patrons on Interfacing Linux. Broke the bank on that one. But we got a good deal on it. RX 570, 8 gig. That's what I bought that for this experiment, to show this off and to show off all the cool work that the Fex project's been working on. Really amazing to see. what they've done and how far they've come on this. It's just the results were pretty neat. You're going to have to go check it out for yourself. It's on Interfacing Linux, on the latest video on the Interfacing Linux YouTube channel. Give it a watch. If you like it, maybe drop me a thumbs up from my little YouTube channel. But like everything I do, there's a full detailed guide. If you want to set this up, if you happen, like, hey, you know what? You're like, ooh, Dak's got an 06. So Dak, read what I wrote you back in the comments. Just do what I said, and you'll be able to update it, because you do have to update the BIOS. You know, one of the most interesting comments I got on the YouTube video, doing great, by the way, over there, is somebody who had not checked in on ARM recently was like, what are you doing? What's going on here? This is complete insanity. Do you have a VM running? What, he had this very long, convoluted thing. He's like, there's no such thing as a UEFI on ARM.
John Masters would like to have a word with you.
He had no idea. Have you played around with the EDK2?
No.
The Open UEFI system?
I have not, but I don't have anything that necessarily supports it.
You get a Rockchip.
Does that support that?
Yeah, there's a branch for Rockchip.
Fair enough.
I'm not brave enough to install on any Rockchip, but
what I was going to ask was like, in terms of like firmware update, the FW upd, does that work on ARM? Can you like use that to flash these like the Orion and stuff like that?
I don't know. Like, I don't think there would be any technical hurdles to that.
Yeah, it would just be a matter of like they need to submit the firmware to like the Linux firmware project, but like, because I don't know. You brought up updating the BIOS, and I'm like, I wonder does ARM have like firmware update support? Because that would be really cool.
That would be kind of interesting, and like that was one of the things I had to do with the 06. If you don't know the 06, I did a whole write up on it. It's a 12 core. It's a new company, CIX. They did it, and it's a beefy, chunky chip, but it's haunted. Everything's got gremlins on that board, and they're still working them out like with any new ARM SBC. It's only been out for like 4 or 5 months now. So yeah, if you're familiar with single board computer releases that are not Raspberry Pis, we got some waiting time on that. But one of the
some mashing refresh on the Collabora fucking mailing list.
Yeah, right. Yes, I follow GitLab instance right there, man. I keep track of what they're doing with everything. But one of the cool things about the board is being able to boot. You can do device tree, or you can pop into the BIOS and switch it over to ACPI, which means you could just go download a Fedora ARM image, download an Ubuntu image, download a Debian image, put that bitch on a thumb drive, and just boot it up like you would a regular PC and install it.
That's crazy to me, man. I remember having to like image systems directly, and like installing shit on an ARM system was always jumping through hoops. Now you just like fucking stick in a USB and
with the latest firmware, like they got it. Now this is something like Ampere's been able to do. That was like one of the creature comforts, for the last couple of years. But again, you're looking at a couple of grand just to play around with that. And before this firmware update, you could kind of shoehorn Debian on there in ACPI mode, but you had to do some trickery to get the EFI boot partition. But nowadays, walking through this with FEX is like, you don't have to touch anything. It's just a regular install. You're like, oh, it just works now. FEX does some absolutely crazy stuff. It is your emulator. It's going to emulate, or let's use the right words. It converts the Army bits to, the x86 bits. x86 64? Yeah, let's be technically correct.
No.
To ARM. Then you're able to launch Steam. Then you can use Proton to play the Windows games under Linux. At least that's the plan. Now, unlike Box 64, it's got a big old root FS for its thunking, so you have to download one of those. And you get to pick. There's a Fedora one. There's an Arch one. I used Arch, by the way. And Ubuntu, and a couple other things, which instead of trying to pack everything in one application, it uses that for your 64-bit and your 32-bit libraries and all the stuff it's doing over there. Their documentation's not that great, so that's one of the things that inspired me to make this. So you can adapt it and get FEX up and running. If you got, an 06, or if you got another board, I don't know how many ARM boards there are with actually, you don't have to worry about it, because you can buy one of those like M.2 adapters, the M.2 to, by 8 or by 16. Because like a lot of these newer boards, they got at least 4 lanes of PCI Express Gen 3 on them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's enough to run a GPU. So you get there, try it. Go watch the video. Look at the future, because this is the important part, people. This is my attempt to kind of get like a blurry crystal ball that I can peek into with one eye open, biting my pillow.
In a couple of years, you're basically going to be strapping that to your face, because that's what Deckard is, effectively.
We're thinking about that. I'm thinking about completely same timeline, but like 2 steps to the left or right. Is ARM's ARM's already on the desktop. ARM's already in Apple. We got that. We got Snapdragons. We got generation 2 of Snapdragons already taped out, getting ready to come. They're going to be making inroads. Like, I'm not saying it's coming to, take away the x86 64 away from you, but it's going to be showing up in laptops. You're still going to have your x86 game library. I've said it before on this show. It's a good idea to keep track and to offer all the gratitude you can for this groundwork that's being laid down for your library in the future, because ARM is going to be a very viable option. You want to be able to play your games without having to dig out your x86.
And that's going to be it, right? Like, at a certain point, ARM's going to get to a point where you will have a choice when you're buying a new computer. Are you going to buy the x86 one? Are you going to buy the ARM one? Are you going to buy the Long Arch RISC-V? Whatever the fuck that future happens to look like.
No, let's not.
No. You need your 128 core RISC-V machine that can play Hollow Knight at 2 FPS. But at least you can plug a 470 in it.
Did you hear what Ubuntu's doing with RISC-V?
No.
No, they're mandating for the next version of Ubuntu an instruction set that's only been like planned out for the past couple of months. So basically anybody with a RISC-V CPU right now, it's not going to run on that.
Amazing. But like to that point, right? You're in some amount of time, you will have to make that choice of what your platform is going to be. And not having to give up your software library is a big thing that's going to enable a platform like ARM to succeed on the desktop. Because like that was the whole thing with like Titanium, right? Like, nobody wanted to give up the 32-bit apps because that's where all the software was. Where we saw that last week with fucking Fedora. They're like, hey, should we get rid of 32-bit? And everyone's like, fuck no, you assholes. And we're going to see something. We're going to see some similar things. It was just
a suggestion, bro. Damn, calm down. We weren't really going to do it.
Die. Yeah. Speaking of effects, the Fedora Redefest, those guys were like, nah, man, we're just fucking axing it if you do this.
Well, I mean, it's like logical. Like, there's other cores to like deal and work with. I wish, if you're running, here's a weird one. You got to use the version of Ubuntu I tell you to, because I tracked down like the PPA, and even though it's not documented that they've updated the PPA to work with the newer version of Ubuntu, like 2504, I was going to do a manual install with Fedora, because Fedora's got FEX in their repo. And I'm like, that'd be fun. That shit don't work. They just don't. I don't know what it was tested against, but it don't work. Unfortunately, because initially there was a version of this video and a guide that was going to be using Fedora, because like it gets boring just using Ubuntu for everything. But yeah, there you go. Go play with it. Interfacing Linux. Give it a read. Give it a watch. Let your eyeballs fall out of your nose when you see, wait, what? Yeah. Good times. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Just as long as there's no fire.
There could be plenty of fire, man.
Just not being rendered by that GPU anyways.
That GPU is already cursed, man. Like when it's cursed. Let's just be glad it works. It was like, what? I don't even know what I paid for, like $50. Like, I've gotten my money out of it. Like, that's all we needed it for. We've proved a proof of concept. And even though PCI Express Gen 4 on that board is horribly cursed right now, I think there's like 5 or 6 comments, even though I brought it up multiple times in that video, and it's even timestamped, about people saying, why don't you use Gen 4 GPU, bro? I don't understand. You know it would run better if you used Gen 4. I'm like, no, it wouldn't run at all. It can't see Gen 4 GPUs, bro. But I'm not going to have that argument with them. Why? Because I ain't got time for that.
It's a video. It's in the past. It's already done.
Yeah, my tolerance for derpiness on the internet's getting thin these days, man. But that's going to wrap us up for this week. If you want to tell us about your derpiness on the internet, head over to LinuxGameCast.com. There's a contact button. Smash it. Fill out an email. Leave some derp below the post on YouTube or over on Patreon, patreon.com/LinuxGameCast. You want to support the show, get into our Discord, get the live and uncut versions of the show, all the other stuff that comes attached to that. But I'm about to hit 33 degrees C in here. So, if I, like the wolf, if I'm being curt, it's because I don't want to melt. Yeah. There we go. Are we good?
Yeah, I think so.
Music time? Did we do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Almost an hour. There we go. Boop, boop. Hang on. Outro.
There we go.
There we go. Cue the music. Find us right over here on Twitch, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We didn't have too many explosions going on this afternoon. A couple of glitches. I want to check the temperature on Jordan's PC because I can hear it getting a little bit warm, and it's never experienced an army summertime. But scream at me. I'm just a Vin everywhere on the internet. Hop into Discord. Come say hi. Hop in the forums over there facing Linux and come like, hey, here's a question. I'll be like, hey, what's going on? Maybe I can help. Yeah, there you go.
Well, Heathcliff, it's me. I'm Kathy. I've come home. I'm so cold. Let me in through your window at frojo@mass.linuxgamecast.com or frojo@bsky.app.
There we go. Remember, toss a rag to your Witcher.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Wuthering Waves has something to do with Wuthering Heights, or I just don't know what fucking things are anymore.
You got to do it with last week's credits. Wuthering. I don't even know what Wuthering Heights is.
It's a book by Emily Bronte and also a song by Kate Bush covered by Angra at one point. We got to thank our advisors, Art Theron, and we got to thank our executive producers, Bob Ramp, Scott, Atomic, 1234, drummer, the Targos, and our little Nicky fans, Eggy, Basil, and Empty.
Sea Monsters, John, Dirty Dean, Angel Dementor, System T, RL, Rider X Machina, Nimei, Vera Tanudai, Truggy Mike, and Kai Jorah.
Got Death Notes. We got Redes Mark, Oil of Hope, Benjamin, Chad, Martin, Renee, Jill, Steve, Chris, Sheeps, and all the chairlings.
Never trust the Sheeps, man. And look at Zen, one of our lovely chairlings. And of course, Sandy and Shoddy over on the Libras of Payas and the Playas. What's your room temp?
Not 30 degrees.
Not 30 degrees. Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest of your week. Have some fun. Get into some trouble. And remember, I don't know. What do you remember? Oh, yeah. Dynafire. Bye-bye.
5 dudes.